So I want to welcome you to American Federal Government, and it's an exciting semester to be teaching American Federal Government, to be learning American Federal Government. I'd like to start off by first saying that I do believe that this is the most important class on campus, and that is because nothing less than the very future of our country is dependent upon citizens, you and I, learning and understanding how our government works. Thomas Jefferson said an educated electorate is vital to the functioning of a democracy. It's not enough that you just vote, but that you be informed. And in this world, it is extremely difficult, far more difficult, I think, to stay informed because we've had a proliferation of sources. That is, there's all this stuff on the internet, Facebook posts and things like that, Twitter, that people don't know what is true and what's not. And sometimes politicians like it that way because they can muddy the waters and confuse things and refer to the press as the enemy of the people because it often will benefit them to have people confused and not know what is true or how the government works and the media and its role. By the way, the media and the press is not the enemy of the people. It is vital for a functioning democracy. That's why dictators in other countries have often tried to get rid of the press and attacked the press, who are diligently trying to hold our government accountable. That's one of the roles they play. But we got a whole chapter on that, the press and the media and how that works, and look forward to studying that. So this class is so important for the rest of your life, to be an informed citizen. And so it is taken seriously. Unfortunately, a lot of people aren't informed. You can notice this just if you scroll through social media. Because there's so much misinformation about how the government works. So we're not doing a good job of informing citizens on how it works. Most students have had maybe a basic civics course, maybe a semester of government. Oftentimes the teacher has been someone who doesn't really care. It's a side gig. It's just something extra that they're required to do. And so there's no instruction, and that really is at the detriment of our country. So we are going to learn a lot. I hope it's engaging. I hope it's exciting as much as it can be online, and that I challenge you. I think the pandemic and recent events surrounding George Floyd and other events have laid bare and wide open how misinformation can spread. And it's become painfully obvious that people aren't getting information from proper sources. So I'll be definitely preaching that a lot and be talking about that a lot. And it's also, from the get-go, the first thing I want to tell you is if you're not paying attention to the news, if you're not woke as to what's going on, you need to start. It's voting and being informed. People think that that's my right. Well, yes, it is a right, but it's also a duty. And so you have to stay informed. And staying informed means being exposed to impartial, non-biased sources. So Fox News fans, no, that is not an impartial, non-biased source. It's extremely biased, as is most cable news. Most newspapers are pretty legitimate. They separate the opinion page and from the publication and the rest of it, and they have professional journalists. YouTube, not a good source. PBS and NPR are two of my favorites. Public broadcasting. They're free of commercials, which often can influence how editorial staffs and how news is presented, but they don't have commercials, so they don't have that commercial influence. They are sponsored by viewers like you, myself, and others that donate in order to get that impartial information that's so important. But again, got a chapter on that, so I'm not going to talk about that anymore now. We'll get back to that later. This video is new. I didn't do videos in the past in this class. I'm trying to just build more of resources that we have for this class, and I think it'll help. And I'm going to try to keep the videos short because I know your time is valuable and you've got a lot of work to do. As for the nature of this class, what can I tell you in just a few minutes that will help you prepare for this class specifically, because I know all the instructors have different things they do and different idiosyncrasies. So I try to keep things real consistent so that there's no surprises. And as the first thing I would say is print up that syllabus, print up that schedule, put it next to your computer so you know the deadlines and you know what we're doing. But essentially we do a chapter a week. Be careful because there are a few chapters we have to skip because we do not have time to cover all of them, though we cover most of them and they're pretty much sequential in order. But now and again, I think chapter 9 might be the first one we skip. I'm not sure. Just follow that syllabus on that. Assignments officially are released the weekend before and are due Sunday night at midnight. They're always due Sunday night at midnight, so there's no surprises. That gives you the weekend to complete them because I know a lot of you are working and have families and obligations, and if you're like me, a lot of my grading, a lot of my work online is done on Sundays, or on the weekend. And so Sunday at midnight seems a good time, so that's when it is due. I'd recommend not waiting till Sunday at 10 o'clock. It shows me when you do the assignment, and inevitably there's a ton of assignments that's 10, I'll grade an assignment says 10 o'clock, 10:20, 10:25, 11:10. So all these students waiting to the last second. If you do it earlier in the week, you have questions, you can ask me and I can help you. But if you're emailing me at noon on Sunday and it's due, I probably won't get back to you. I'm usually pretty good at getting back within 24 hours, but you're waiting too long. I also usually release the assignment 2, sometimes 3 weeks in advance. I can't promise I'm going to do that. Officially by the syllabus, I give you 1 week per assignment, but I usually open it up early. I try to keep ahead of things so you can keep ahead of things so you have more flexibility in your life. You have more flexibility to do what you need to do. And same for me, that gives me more flexibility when I grade. What are you doing each week? Well, you're reading the chapter. That's first and foremost. You're going to have to read that chapter. You need to read it carefully. And then I've selected some topic from that chapter or a few topics from that chapter that I think is really important. And I'm giving you something to write about. After you post it, it'll be submitted to me, and everybody will be able to see it after you post. You can't see others until you post yours so that there's no copying. Don't plagiarize. Don't go on the internet and cut and paste. More than 3 or 4 words without quotation marks is plagiarism. Just put it in your own words, please. That's really important as well. And so once you do that, you read the chapter, you thoughtfully and carefully answer the prompt, which is a formal writing. It's not a Facebook post, it's not a tweet. It needs to have correct punctuation and spelling, and there's no excuse for that in our age, because in Google Docs or in Word or whatever, where you can type it up and then transfer it over into the Blackboard, it'll tell you when you've made a mistake. So it's just really laziness if you're submitting things. If I see things that don't have proper punctuation, one of the things I'm thinking, they did it on their phone. And if I see things with incorrect typeface, it's like immediately I'm suspecting plagiarism and cut and paste and things like that. So just be sure not to do those major mistakes. I enjoy really reading students' answers in your own words because I want to see what your perspective is on the assignment that I've given you. And then you'll have a chapter quiz each week. The quiz is usually 20, 25 questions, and I think you have 75 minutes. That's not enough time to look up every answer, and so you'll need to read the chapter. I mean, you can look up some of the answers, but you don't have time to look them all up. And so you'll need to be very familiar with the chapter before you take that quiz. And then you'll have a midterm and a semester test, and that's essentially how the class works as we go through. If you have questions, please email me. A lot of students, I think, are afraid to email their instructors. I know my own children. I have two girls and a boy. One's in college now. The other two are in high school. They're afraid to talk to their teachers. And I said, well, that's what we're paid for. We're paid to help you and to try to ensure your success. So please email me. Yeah, anytime you have questions, I check it and get back usually within 24 hours. If it's a Saturday, sometimes it might be a little later. What other notations are there? I think those are the major things. As things come up, then I'll bring them to your attention. I'm going to try to do these videos, which will be about 15 minutes each week, to bring context and to provide a setting for what you are about to learn in the new chapter. And I'll try to get one ready for chapter 1 pretty quick when you guys come up and log on for the first time on August the 12th, I think it is. And finally, last week, one of my heroes died, and that's John Lewis. If you don't know who John Lewis is, he spoke with Martin Luther King Jr. in the March on Washington. He had his skull cracked open at Selma. He was arrested 45 times. That's right, 45 times in the cause of justice and equality. At sit-ins and the freedom rides and at Selma. He's one of the most courageous persons that I think this country has ever had. And he had said that voting is the most powerful nonviolent tool that we have. And so you better vote, and you need to do so in an informed manner. And my favorite John Lewis quote, he said that to get into trouble. So it's rare that you have an authority figure that's telling people, especially young people, and saying, get into trouble. But Lewis said, get into trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. And it's because when he went off to college at seminary school to become a pastor, his mom told him, don't get into trouble. And he goes and gets arrested and gets his head beat in. And he says, I got into trouble. It did bring embarrassment to his family. I mean, they were telling him, you can't do that. You can't do that. But he had a cause that he felt was much, much greater. I want to inspire you. Get into trouble, good trouble, necessary trouble. Change the world. It's not going to happen overnight. It takes generations, but it can happen if you believe in it. If you believe in your cause like John Lewis did. Finally, I forgot to introduce myself. My name is Mr. Brennan. I taught at Carl Albert as an adjunct for about 19 years now, and I've been a teacher at Poto for 21 years. And before that, I taught at Tulsa. I've been teaching 24 years. I teach the AP classes here at Poto, AP History. And so that's me. And best of luck to you in this class. Any questions? Please email me, and I will see you in the next video.